Hello, everyone, and thank you for watching our weekly lives, service accommodation, property, entrepreneur Q&A. I have collated the questions from the community this week, and I'm jumping in the studio today. I'm taking a laid-back approach, guys. I am sitting with my feet up. This isn't a coffee; it's a little mushroom focus brew. Trying to minimise my coffees, guys. So just trying a little bit of an experiment today. The last few weeks I was fortunate enough to be outside in the sun. I am trapped in the studio today. So rather than standing up and getting everything sorted regards the lights and being super organised and professional, I'm just sitting back, chilling out, and I'm going to answer your questions. So as always, guys, I like to keep this short and sharp, getting through as many questions as I can in the time, keeping the answers definitely below 90 seconds, 2 minutes at a very push. And with all of these questions, I pick the good ones and make longer form content for the community, put it into our academy, and they're between probably 5 and 20 minutes for most of these questions. So great to get them. I answer them quickly, and then I do the longer form content, longer content questions, going into it in a little bit more detail as well. So let's just jump in with the next question here. What is the moment you knew business was going to work? This business was going to work. So for me, this business with this business model, a few months after we were 20 years old. That sounds quite a long time to think you've made it in business, but we made lots of mistakes there. I did a lot of learning in those 20 years, those 2 decades, and we're now at a stage where business is totally different. It is evolving and moving forward a lot faster. The pace of change is so fast, it's going to be impossible for people to keep up. So I think we've finally got the perfect business model to adapt to this future environment. But that took me 20 years, lots of errors, lots of trials, lots of mistakes. Finally got it right after 20 years. That is a great question. So next question. How many properties do you need to replace a full-time salary? So this depends on your model and it depends on your salary. I believe the average salary in the UK between 34 and 39, depending on what factors you're putting into those statistics. So let's just say 39,000. How many properties would it take you? So if you are doing our model here, we are going to say 10 properties under the Pillow Partners business model. So if you're joining us as a property management partner, 10 properties. This is slightly different if you've got your own. Christ, that could be done with one high-end property. My wife Emma got one on where the projections were an income of 167,000 a year, and this was a 7-bed. So that one property would replace your income. Different if you're doing rent to rents. We have calendars and lots of AI tools, Comment Academy, and we will give you all of those totally free. Next question. How do you value a property for SA potential versus normal resale value? So I think the context of this from a sales point of view or a purchasing point of view, if you have a buy-to-let property, that's nice and simple. It's kind of bricks and mortar. You may pay over the market value if you think it's going to be a good investment with a good yield. But how do we value properties from an estate agency investment point of view if they're generating income? So it depends on your mortgage and your funder. Probably still going to take bricks and mortar if you're buying a property and starting off for SA. You're going to need a specific mortgage. You're going to need projections, but it's probably still going to be a bricks and mortar valuation. If you're putting lots of properties into a portfolio or buying a portfolio, you can build that to be a business, which is independently run apart from you being there in the day-to-day operations. It has a brand, and that business, that limited company, can be worth a lot more than bricks and mortar. It's the multiple of the income. So various factors on this. I will do a big video if you want to get details on this. Be sure I'll drop it next week in the academy. But you can build service accommodation businesses that are worth more as a business rather than the bricks and mortar. Next question. Is it better to go all in from day one or start slow and scale? This depends on you. Do you have the financial ability to jump in and do property full time? Can you go with one wage in family income rather than 2? Can you get a very quick start in this? What is your strategy? So there's always that old saying of whoever went to a different country, they burnt the boats, and that meant they had to succeed. So I think burning the boats and being all in is just a great strategy. I think that's personally better, but that's for my risk appetite, guys. I wouldn't be jumping into this and putting your house at risk, putting your financial security at risk, having sleepless nights all night, every night, if you're going to be worrying about money. So certainly for people joining us, I think it's always better to jump in and go full time. You're just going to replace that income from employment or other sources much, much faster. If you're not in, when are you going to find the time to do this? Are you fully committed? And doing this part time, your progress is going to be much, much slower building your property business than it has been full time. So, but it depends on you. Next question. How much should you save before starting a service accommodation business? I'm going to talk about our business, joining us as a property manager. Having your initial money, so £6,000 there to pay the initial fee, £5,000 plus VAT. And I always like people to have 3 months operating income. So put another £2,000 on for that. So what's that? Like £8,000 is enough to start a business that you could genuinely grow to earning over £100,000 a year. So within a few years, again, if you're jumping all in, like the previous question we discussed this, you can do it much, much faster. But how much to save? Some operating costs, some startup costs. You can start a service accommodation business, certainly partnering with Pillow for less than 10,000. That number probably stands true for doing a rent-to-rent portfolio as well. Next question. What's the most expensive mistake you can make when sourcing a property? So I'm going to assume this is sourcing a property for rent to rent, but it works equally for buying. If you're sourcing a property, especially if you're paying a sourcer, it's not doing your own due diligence and taking those facts. A sourcer, or indeed speaking to an estate agent, they are there to present the best possible case for that. They're there to sell a deal. They make money transactionally. So jumping in without doing your own due diligence, listening to an estate agent saying how much it could earn, and listening to a deal sourcer who's maybe getting £3,000 to £5,000, they may be optimistic in the figures. Hopefully you've got a good deal sourcer, you know your figures yourself, but you need to work on these, do them yourself, fact test them, stress test them as well. So don't go for that super high end if you're sourcing a property for say the high end figures straight away. Remember, there is a life cycle, a launch phase, a growth phase, and maturity phase. Yes, you can get comparables to say it'll make X amount of money a night, but remember, these guys have probably been in the market for a long time. They've got 100 5-star reviews, super host in Airbnb, and you're going in fresh to compete with them. So don't overestimate the income. Next question. Scott, what if I fail? What actually happens if the business doesn't work? So guys, you always want to protect yourself. You're having things in a limited company, not signing up for personal guarantees. I'm answering this generally, then I'll make it specific to Pillow. So making sure that the business the money you're putting into business is money you can afford to lose. It's not going to bankrupt you. It's not going to wipe out your pension, and it's not going to make you lose your house here. The good thing about service accommodation, especially partnering with us and doing it alongside us, the cost is minimal. If it doesn't work out, you get a year's worth of education, not just in property and service accommodation, but mindset, timekeeping, and entrepreneurship. So I would say the cost here for this is negligible. But 80% of businesses fail. Conversely, 8% of businesses do it as a franchise model and partnership. So you have a much, much higher chance of success, but the downside is protected, that you're never going to be signing up for leases. You're never going to be taken to court for not paying software subscriptions. You're never going to need to have debt. And with this business model, it's nice and simple. You pay your upfront fee, pay your monthly license fee. If it doesn't work, you stop paying it, and you're not entitled. You're not going to be sitting with financial debt and losing your house over this. So with our business model, very, very proud to say we've set it up that there is very little downside. All the risk is on us to provide you with the amazing startup resources. Next question. How do you find landlords that will say yes to a rent-to-rent deal? This is a fantastic one. I'll cover it in depth. I've done hours and hours of training in this. Just comment Academy if you're not already in it. So there's videos there on this. But I think the old transactional contractual relationship with a landlord and you to do rent-to-rent, I like to go a little bit deeper, be business partners, set up joint ventures. So how do we find these people? People want to find you for these deals. If you're cold approaching agents and landlords, it's going to be very hard. Why? They've heard this pitch before. If you see a property on Rightmove and approach a letting agent, they've probably had 5 emails or phone calls that day for that, and they've had hundreds of people they've said no to this year. for rent to rent. So how do we do it? We get those people coming to you, building your profile, being trustworthy and ethical, building a reputation online, but putting yourself out there as someone that's in the rent to rent market, and then getting people to come to you where you have a shared goal. They have a pain point, you have a problem, a solution to their problem, and you're good to go. So solving people's problems, building trust, much, much better than cold approaching. Next question. Biggest red flag when choosing a new management agent. So biggest red flag when choosing a new managing agent. This one is simple. Listen to the way your new managing agent speaks about competitors. Is a massive red flag for them to be bad-mouthing competitors. If you've got a few in your shortlist and they're saying negative things, they're saying you shouldn't use this agent because we're better than them, they're sharing dirt, they're gossiping. How you get someone is how they'll leave you. So if somebody's like that and that's their character, showing poor character, any agent that's been in the industry a fair amount of time understands you never badmouth competitors. It's very, very bad form, unprofessional against the competitor. But it's a red flag because how people join you is how they'll leave you. And if they're bad mouthing and saying horrible things to try and get business, that's probably what they're going to be saying about you as well. Shows bad character. So the biggest red flag is an agent bad mouthing other competitors, other people in the industry, and you've been genuinely negative. Next question. Do you need to be a people person to succeed in the service accommodation business? Day one of the training for all of our team is you are in hospitality, you're not in property. It's the first slide I put up for our guys. Landlords and property investors are in property. If you're doing service accommodation, you are in customer experience, you're in hospitality. We're here to provide amazing experiences for guests. If we're property managing agents like Pillow, we're here to provide amazing experience for guests and hosts, and manage all the contractors, the important business partners we have that help run the businesses, like maintenance people and especially cleaners. So do you need to be a people person? Absolutely. It's one of the biggest skills. You can be amazing at numbers and in business. If you are not a people person, then definitely your business is going to struggle. And in a world of AI and automations, we can take this away so that you don't need to be a nice person. You can be a horrible bastard and still have a successful business. But this is changing because in the world of AI and automations and endless loop gibberish, I think people are going to come back to genuine connections with people. So guys, I'll rattle through that today, trying to keep it short and sweet. If you want further explanations on any of these, hopefully this new format turns out. We'll see when I get a look behind the scenes and have a little look at this video. So just chilling out today, relaxing, feet up with a mushroom coffee here. If your question wasn't answered this week, please pop it into our academy. It's where we take exclusive questions from. And again, if you want further explanation, I always like to dedicate some of my time to our Pillow Partners community to answer your questions and upload it so that you guys get value from the community. So thank you very much for joining us. Any questions for next week, let us know. Any elaborations you would like me to go into more detail on, let me know. Have a fantastic week, guys. Cheers.